Johannesburg has experienced water outages every single day since the beginning of the year. This is according to the Water Community Action Network. The organization is warning that the province's water crisis is likely to worsen this year, citing a lack of infrastructure maintenance. For more on this, we're joined now by the organization's executive manager, that's Dr Ferrial Adam. Dr. Adam, thank you very much for your time. Good evening to you. When you say this situation will likely get worse this year, what are you basing it on?
Good evening. Yes, thank you for having me. We are basing it on the extent of the problem that was there last year and the amount of work that was done to actually deal with the issues, which is about increasing spending on infrastructure and maintenance. I think that there's a huge backlog and the infrastructure is failing across the greater Johannesburg area. So I don't foresee us getting out of this mess anytime soon. When you say the situation will likely get worse, how bad is it likely going to get? I think you're going to have a lot more areas that are going to have pipes that are bursting, and it will affect the flow of water to people's taps. So that is something that's going to happen more frequently, and it's going to take longer to actually restore water to communities. So that is something that we foresee. It's because it's happening all across, and I don't think there are enough people to deal with the infrastructural problems at the moment. Infrastructure maintenance is at the heart of this problem. Where exactly are the bottlenecks? So the bottlenecks are a few places. The one is that, firstly, I think we don't have enough skilled people on the ground. Secondly, I think departments are not speaking to each other. So, for example, you would get Joburg Water would attend to a leak and they will fix it, but they leave a gaping hole. And that hole then needs to be fixed by Joburg Roads Association because they need to then tie it again. And they're not doing it. So the communication there is lacking and that's not happening. So what happens is then people are driving over pipes that need to be protected and then it bursts again. So you have that repeat happening. Also, there are cases like we saw last week where the issue is so huge that I don't think Joburg Water can actually fix the problem. So it becomes extended, and then what you have is that extended cuts of water. So the bottlenecks, they're numerous bottlenecks. The bottlenecks exist in terms of the skills. It's about the weak infrastructure, the fact that we need new infrastructure pipes. So there's different bottlenecks, and they're all actually affecting each other. The extended cuts that you make reference to, water is one of those resources that you simply cannot go without for 24 hours. We've seen some areas really struggle and go for days. When you say this situation or this crisis, because let's call it what it is, if this crisis is going to get worse this year, how long could these outages go on for? So that depends on the extent of the problem. They can be as long as we've seen it. And that's only time. I mean, for me, it's shocking that you need to go for like a week without water before anybody from government actually responds. So how long depends on the issue, depends. It's very specific. You know, I can't really give you how long. But I think that you're looking at more and more areas are going to have these problems and be water cuts. Have you consulted at all with the water bodies? For example, you have Johannesburg Water and then you have Rand Water. Are you talking at all to these organizations to understand what the problems are? Because, yes, you've explained that it would seem that there actually isn't communication between these organizations. If that's the case, it means that we are in a real fix. Well, we've been told that Rand Water and Joburg Water actually do have daily or weekly sessions to understand what is going on, but I think it needs to be beyond that. As for your question, yes, we have tried. So I think if you remember last year when a lot of Joburg was experiencing either water cuts or lots of pipe bursts and water shedding, as we're calling it now, and water shifting. So we then had, Joburg Water releasing a statement, Rand Water releasing a statement, and then the Department of Water and Sanitation as the minister saying something else. And what we decided is let's actually get all of them in the same room. And that's what we did at the end of last year. We got all of them in the same room. And at that, which we established a water forum, which includes civil society and then these three entities. We did not have City of Joburg at that meeting. We have tried to get City of Joburg to the meeting. We had our last meeting about 2 weeks ago. National departments committed. They've given us their people. We have contact with people. Joburg, Rand Water has done the same. For us, and you talk about bottlenecks, is the Joburg Water City of Joburg bottleneck. City of Joburg has still not given us someone. In fact, in the last meeting, it was with the Water Crisis Committee met with the mayor. And he said, what is this water forum? I've never heard about it. We then explained what the water forum was about and said, please, can you send a representative from the City of Joburg? He said yes, but then they committed a Joburg Water person to attend. And the Joburg Water person did attend, but then kept getting cut off, and our conversations could not go forward. Because a lot of the answers needed to come from Joburg Water and City of Joburg. So it's a challenge. We are still trying, and we're hopeful that the next meeting will be in person and that all entities will be attending.
Final question to you, Dr. Adam, and it may sound cynical or it may sound very skeptical. There's a community in Pretoria where that community has experienced water problems, severe water problems, to a point where they feel that it would seem that this is a self-created crisis in order for those who are running water tankers, those contracts are extended and never go out of service. There was a time when we were told that load shedding, we're talking electricity now, is a self-created crisis. Do you think that this is where we are headed?
So I do think that there's elements of that is true. I mean, we don't have evidence on the case in Swane, and we need, you can't just make those blanketed, but people do have those theories, right? But it's not unfounded in some areas. So we do know, and with the research that some of my colleagues have done, is that in KZN and Eastern Cape, we do know that the water tanker owners were also damaging infrastructure so there can be continued contracts to provide water. And so it is possible. It's not something that hasn't happened. And I can understand why people would say that. But without evidence, we can't make that blanketed statement. But I do think as citizens and as people, we need to be mindful that water tankers must be a temporary solution. And when it becomes more permanent, that's when we need to raise questions. How much does it cost the municipality? How many tankers do they have per day? And I think we will be quite surprised. We tried to submit a request for that information, and we didn't get it.
Executive Manager at WaterCAN, that's the organization. Dr. Ferrial Adam, let me thank you very much for your time. It's a worrying development.